Hey everyone, welcome back to today. We're diving into some incredible wisdom, thought-provoking insights, and a few laughs along the way. This video will take you on a journey through the ups and downs of life, with advice and humor that'll make you think twice, smile, and maybe even see things in a new way. So, if you're ready to explore some life-changing ideas, grab a seat, hit that like button, subscribe to join our community, and don't forget to turn on notifications. Let's get started. 1. Wisdom and reflections. Alright, let's start with a few gems about relationships and self-worth. Ever felt like you're giving someone everything you have, but they're only giving you the bare minimum? Yeah, here's a thought: never allow someone to be your priority while allowing yourself to be their option. Think about it. It's so easy to get caught up in making someone else feel important, but if they don't see your value, it's time to move on. You deserve people in your life who make you feel valued and appreciated, not like you're just an option on their list. And here's a quote to keep you thinking: the most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. The journey to finding our purpose isn't always obvious, and sometimes we feel lost along the way. But those moments of clarity, when you realize why you're here, are like a breath of fresh air. If you haven't found that purpose yet, keep going, it's out there, and when it hits, you'll know it. Now, let's switch it up with a little humor, but it's the kind of humor that hits close to home. The more I learn about people, the more I like my dog. Laughs. Look, people can be, let's say, complicated, but our pets, they're simple. They don't judge, they love unconditionally, and they're there for us, rain or shine. So, shout out to all the pet owners out there who know what I'm talking about. Alright, here's another one for you: keep away from people who try to belittle your ambitions. Small people always do that, but the really great make you feel that you too can become great. This one hits deep. Ever noticed how some people seem to tear you down whenever you talk about your dreams? That's their insecurity speaking. The people who believe in themselves, they'll believe in you, too, and encourage you to reach new heights. So, if someone's always making you feel less than when you share your goals, maybe it's time to distance yourself and surround yourself with folks who lift you up instead. Speaking of standing out, let's talk about conformity for a minute. Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to pause and reflect. I love this one. Sometimes, when everyone's moving in one direction, we might follow just because it's easier. But if you take a step back, you'll realize that the best ideas, the ones that change the world, often come from people who go against the flow. So, don't be afraid to stand out. Embrace the things that make you different. They're your strengths. Alright, let's take it back to honesty. Here's one that's both practical and hilarious: if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. Laughs. Think about it. When you're honest, there's no need to keep track of different versions of a story. You're just being real. It's so much simpler, and honestly, it saves you a ton of stress. And speaking of noise, here's one more: noise proves nothing. Often a hen who has laid an egg cackles as if she has laid an asteroid. Laughs. People love to hype up the smallest things sometimes. Just because someone is loud about what they've done doesn't mean it's a big deal. Actions speak louder than noise. Okay, this next one is pure gold: never argue with stupid people, they will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. Smirks. You know what I'm talking about. Sometimes, it's better to just walk away than to waste your time with arguments that lead nowhere. Not every fight is worth your energy, especially if the other person isn't interested in listening. And here's one more thought: wrinkles should merely indicate where the smiles have been. Smiling, wrinkles aren't the enemy. They're reminders of the good times we've had, the laughs we've shared, and all those moments that made life beautiful. And speaking of taking things too seriously, here's a funny one: be careful about reading health books, you may die of a misprint. Laughs. Isn't that the truth? There's so much advice out there that sometimes it's hard to know what to believe. At the end of the day, trust your instincts, and don't let every new piece of advice stress you out. Here's another one that gets a bit deep: the worst loneliness is not to be comfortable with yourself. Being alone isn't the problem, not being at peace with who you are, that's where the real loneliness comes in. Self-acceptance is key to happiness, and once you have it, you'll never feel alone. Okay, I love this one because it's a reminder to not take life too seriously. Giving up smoking is the easiest thing in the world. I know because I've done it thousands of times. Laughs, habits can be tough to break, but they're part of the journey. Even if you fail a few times, keep trying. You'll get there eventually. Here's a little wisdom about aging that's both funny and true. When your friends begin to flatter you on how young you look, it's a sure sign you're getting old. Laughs, hey, aging is a privilege not everyone gets, so embrace it, laugh at it, and be proud of every year you've got. Alright, last thought for this section: loyalty to country always, loyalty to government, when it deserves it. Loyalty is important, but it doesn't mean blindly following along. Standing up for what's right and questioning things when they don't feel right, that's where true loyalty lies. So that's it for this first section. If you're enjoying these nuggets of wisdom and humor, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment below on your favorite piece of advice so far. Let's keep this conversation going, and stay tuned for more amazing insights in the next section. 2. Humor and life lessons. Here's something to keep in mind about aging: do not complain about growing old, it is a privilege denied to many. We often worry about the wrinkles, the gray hairs, and all those little reminders of time passing by. But each year is a gift. Not everyone gets the chance to grow old, so let's embrace the journey, cherish the memories, and wear each year as a badge of honor. Here's one that's close to my heart: kindness is a language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. There's something so powerful about kindness, it's universal, understood without words, and felt deeply by everyone. Kindness doesn't cost a thing, but it can change everything for someone else. Whether it's a smile, a helping hand, or just being there for someone, kindness speaks louder than anything. Now, let's talk optimism versus pessimism. It's better to be an optimist who is sometimes wrong than a pessimist who is almost always right. Think about it. Wouldn't you rather believe in the good, even if it doesn't always work out, than live in doubt all the time? Pessimism may feel safer, but it often means missing out on joy. Taking a leap of faith and expecting good things opens up a world of possibilities. So, let's choose to hope for the best and enjoy the ride. Alright, here's one that'll make you laugh, but think at the same time: no woman or man really knows what perfect love is until they have been married a quarter of a century. It's funny, but it's true. Relationships take time, patience, and understanding. Love isn't just the highs, it's the daily commitment, the sticking it out through the lows, and the small acts of kindness along the way. After all, love grows deeper with time. And here's a reminder about confidence: if everyone was satisfied with himself, there would be no heroes. Heroes aren't born from perfection, they're born from a desire to be more, to make a difference, to be better. So, if you're ever feeling a little insecure, remember that it's those moments of doubt that push us to greatness. Now, here's a thought on friendship: you meet people who forget you. You forget the people you meet. But sometimes you meet those people you can't forget. Those are your friends. We all have a few people who stick in our memories, the ones who left an impact. Friends aren't just people we hang out with, they're the ones who stick with us through thick and thin. So, let's appreciate those special friendships, they're worth more than gold. Alright, this next one's a bit of a joke but also makes you think. Concerning the difference between man and the jackass, some observers hold that there isn't any. But this wrongs the jackass. Laughs, it's easy to get a little down on humanity sometimes, but most people are doing their best. Let's just say that when in doubt, be the kind of person you'd want to meet, not the kind you'd want to avoid. And speaking of ambition, here's a clever one: in order to make a man or a boy covet a thing, it is only necessary to make the thing difficult to attain. Isn't that the truth? People naturally want what they can't have, it's just human nature. But there's a lesson in there too: sometimes, the journey to attain what we desire is what makes it worthwhile. Here's a little something for all the book lovers out there: the man who does not read has no advantage over the man who cannot read. Knowledge is power. But we only get that power if we put it to use, if we make the most of the opportunities we have. Don't let your potential sit on a shelf. Dive into it, explore it, and learn as much as you can. Alright, let's lighten things up with a bit of humor. April 1st. This is the day upon which we are reminded of what we are on the other 364. Laughs. April Fool's Day is just once a year, but let's be honest, we all have moments that make us laugh at ourselves. Embrace those moments. Life is too short to be taken seriously all the time. Here's one that's funny and true. A banker is a fellow who lends you his umbrella when the sun is shining but wants it back the minute it begins to rain. There's something to be said for knowing who's there for you in the good times versus who's there in the tough times. True friends don't disappear when things get rough, they stick around and help you through it. Speaking of honesty, here's a great one: always acknowledge fault frankly. This will throw those in authority off guard and give you an opportunity to make a choice. Laughs. Sometimes, admitting our mistakes is the best way to move forward. It's disarming, it's humble, and it often surprises people, in a good way. Now, here's something a bit more serious. The fact that man knows right from wrong proves his intellectual superiority to other creatures. But the fact that he can do wrong proves his moral inferiority to any creature that cannot. This one hits deep. We're capable of both great good and harm. It's up to us to choose which side we're on, to be mindful of our actions, and to do the right thing even when it's hard. Let's switch it up with a bit of humor about perspective. The man who is a pessimist before 48 knows too much. If he is an optimist after it, he knows too little. Perspective changes with time. Sometimes, a little bit of experience makes us cautious, but too much caution can hold us back. Balance is key. Stay hopeful, but don't ignore the lessons you've learned. And here's one to make you laugh and think: if you have to swallow a frog, don't stare at it too long. Laughs. Sometimes, you just have to get the hard things done. Putting things off only makes them harder. So, tackle those tough tasks head on. The sooner you do, the sooner they're behind you. Alright, here's one for all of us trying to live a little healthier. The only way to keep your health is to eat what you don't want, drink what you don't like, and do what you'd rather not. Laughs. Staying healthy takes discipline. It's not always easy, but it's worth it. So, a little sacrifice now and then is okay if it means feeling our best. And here's a tip for building good habits: do something every day that you don't want to do. This is the golden rule for acquiring the habit of doing your duty without pain. It might sound tough, but it's true. The more we push ourselves, the stronger our habits get. Lastly, let's end on this beautiful reminder: life is short. Break the rules, forgive quickly, kiss slowly, love truly, laugh uncontrollably, and never regret anything that makes you smile. Life is precious. So go all in, live fully, and don't hold back. The memories you make and the joy you bring into your life and others, that's what really matters. 3. Wisdom on life choices and relationships. Let's jump right into some real talk about finances. The lack of money is the root of all evil. It's funny, but there's truth here too. Money can solve problems, but it can also cause a few. It's not everything, but let's be honest, having enough to live comfortably can keep a lot of worries at bay. The real goal, though, is to find a balance. Pursue what brings you joy, not just what fills your wallet. Here's one that'll make you smile: always obey your parents, when they are present. This is the best policy in the long run, because if you don't, they will make you. Laughs. We've all been there, right? Sometimes, going along with what our parents say is just easier. And as much as we want to argue, we often find they had a point all along. And here's a little encouragement for all of you on the edge of a big decision: 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did do. Life is short, and regret can be a powerful thing. Taking a chance on something new or a little risky can be scary, but those moments often become the ones we remember most. Don't let fear hold you back from trying something incredible. Alright, here's a little truth bomb: worrying is like paying a debt you don't owe. Laughs. Think about it. When we worry, we're borrowing trouble that may never happen. Instead, save that energy for the things that really matter. Life's too short to spend it tangled up in what-ifs. Take a deep breath and let those worries go. And here's a beautiful reminder that happiness doesn't have to wait for the perfect time. There is no easy or quick plan to happiness. There is no single spot where you can start. Where you are right now is the best place to begin. Happiness is a journey, not a destination. Start where you are, make the most of what you have, and trust that every step is bringing you closer to your goals. Here's one that hits a little deeper. Everyone is the moon and has a dark side which he never shows to anybody. We all have things we keep hidden, parts of ourselves that we don't show. And that's okay. Not everything has to be shared with everyone. Sometimes, those private struggles are what make us human. So, remember that everyone's dealing with something, even if they don't show it. Now here's a funny, but slightly dark, one. Of all the animals, man is the only one that is cruel. He is the only one that inflicts pain for the pleasure of doing it. It's a little sad but true. Most creatures act out of necessity, but humans? Sometimes we act from a place of hurt or ego. That's why it's so important to choose kindness and compassion whenever possible. It's what makes us truly human. Let's move to a thought about circumstances. Circumstances make man, not man circumstances. The situations we're in often shape us. But here's the thing, we still have a choice in how we react. Life can be tough, and things don't always go the way we want. But our resilience, our ability to bounce back and keep going, that's what defines us. Alright, here's a humorous one that plays on a bigger theme. Man was made at the end of the week's work when God was tired. Laughs, maybe that's why we're a bit flawed, right? We're all a little rough around the edges, but that's what makes us unique. Embrace those imperfections, they're part of what makes each of us special. Now here's a thought on honesty. The truth must be served like a coat and not thrown in the face like a wet towel. Telling the truth is important, but there's a way to do it with kindness and grace. It's not about bluntness, it's about respect. When we share our truths with compassion, they're much more likely to be heard and appreciated. Speaking of loyalty, here's one to think about. The trouble is not in dying for a friend, but in finding a friend worth dying for. Loyalty is a rare gem. A friend who truly has your back, who'd go to great lengths for you, that's priceless. So if you have someone like that in your life, hold on to them and cherish that connection. Here's a funny observation on success. It is strange the way the ignorant and inexperienced so often and so undeservedly succeed when the informed and the experienced fail. Laughs, life isn't always fair. Sometimes, success doesn't come from hard work or knowledge, it's just a matter of timing or luck. Don't be discouraged, just keep pushing, and trust that your time will come. And here's a simple recipe for life. All you need in this life is ignorance and confidence, and then success is sure. There's something powerful about believing in yourself, even when you don't have all the answers. Confidence can take you far, and sometimes, not overthinking things is the best approach. Here's one to make you think about the legacy you'll leave behind. Let us live so that when we come to die, even the undertaker will be sorry. Laughs, that's what it's all about, right? Making an impact, leaving behind something good, something people remember. Live in a way that makes others grateful to have known you. Alright, let's talk about integrity. Always do what is right. It will gratify half of mankind and astound the other. Doing the right thing can sometimes feel like swimming upstream, but it's worth it. Whether people understand it or not, your choices define who you are. So stand by them. Here's a classic reminder, don't go around saying the world owes you a living. The world owes you nothing, it was here first. It's a bit of tough love, but it's true. We're all responsible for creating the life we want. So don't wait for handouts, go out there and make things happen. Now here's an interesting observation, man will do many things to get himself loved. He will do all things to get himself envied. There's something about wanting recognition that's almost universal. But remember, envy isn't as fulfilling as genuine love or admiration. Seek connection, not just attention. Alright, here's one to take to heart. It's better to keep your mouth shut and appear stupid than open it and remove all doubt. Laughs, sometimes, staying quiet can be the smartest move. You don't have to voice every thought, sometimes, silence is golden. Let's end this part with a profound thought on life and death. I do not fear death. I had been dead for billions and billions of years before I was born and had not suffered the slightest inconvenience from it. Life and death are two sides of the same coin. Rather than fearing the end, focus on making the most of each day you have. 4. Reflections on human nature and humor. Let's start with a bit of wit on honesty. A half-truth is the most cowardly of lies. Sometimes, we think that only telling part of the truth is better than lying outright, but it's usually more misleading. Honesty can be tough, but it's the only way to build real trust. So, when in doubt, go for the whole truth, it's worth it. Now here's a bit of wisdom about love. When you fish for love, bait with your heart, not your brain. Love isn't about calculations or strategies, it's about being genuine. Real connections happen when we put our hearts into it and show who we truly are. So, leave the games behind. If you're looking for love, let your heart lead the way. Here's a little nugget on doing the right thing. Do right, and you will be conspicuous. Laughs, isn't that the truth? Doing what's right doesn't always make you popular, but it will make you stand out. So, if you find yourself in the spotlight for all the right reasons, wear it proudly. And here's a bit of humor with a hint of truth. It's easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled. Once someone's bought into something, it's hard to change their mind. But this reminds us to think critically and question things that don't sit right. Being open to learning and changing your mind? Now that's real wisdom. Next up, a man should not be without morals. It is better to have bad morals than none at all. We all make mistakes, but having a sense of right and wrong keeps us grounded. So even if we mess up sometimes, it's better to stand for something than to stand for nothing at all. Here's a piece on commitment. Better a broken promise than none at all. This might sound backward at first, but think about it. The intention to keep a promise, even if we fall short, can mean more than never trying at all. Life's not about perfection, it's about showing up, even if we don't get it right every time. And here's one to lift your spirits. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. Courage isn't about never being afraid. It's about moving forward in spite of fear. So next time you're feeling afraid, remember that it's not the absence of fear that makes you brave, it's your choice to keep going. Here's a funny one on how we communicate. Action speaks louder than words, but not nearly as often. Actions do matter more, but we often rely on words to get our points across. The takeaway? If you want to make an impact, let your actions speak. Words can only go so far. This next one gets deep. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. If you're truly living, embracing each day, then the end isn't something to fear. Instead, focus on filling your life with moments and memories. That's what living fully is all about. And here's some wise advice about storytelling. Get your facts first, and then you can distort them as much as you please. Laughs, there's a little humor here, but the truth is, knowing the facts gives us a solid foundation. It's always best to understand the truth before shaping a story around it. Here's a powerful thought on anger. Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. Holding on to anger only hurts us. It's like drinking poison and expecting it to hurt someone else. So, if you're feeling anger build up, find a way to release it for your own peace. Here's a funny reflection on virtue. Virtue has never been as respectable as money. Society sometimes values wealth more than character, but true virtue isn't about what we have, it's about who we are. At the end of the day, money comes and goes, but our character stays with us. And here's a witty truth about role models. Few things are harder to put up with than the annoyance of a good example. Laughs, we've all had that friend who seems to do everything right, making us question our own habits. But instead of feeling bad, we can use those examples to inspire us. Now, here's a thoughtful one on judgment. Nothing so needs reforming as other people's habits. Laughs, isn't it funny how we always seem to know how others should act, yet changing our own habits can be a challenge? It's a good reminder to focus on ourselves first. Here's a reminder about happiness. How little a thing can make us happy when we feel that we have earned it. True happiness often comes from things we've worked hard for. So, Keep putting in the effort, those little wins mean so much more when we know we've earned them. This next one is powerful. We can secure other people's approval if we do it right and try hard, but our own is worth 100 of it. Approval from others is nice, but self-approval is what really counts. Don't chase validation from the outside, find it within yourself. Now here's a timeless truth: the human race has only one really effective weapon, and that is laughter. Laughter is what gets us through the toughest times. It's a reminder that sometimes, we have to find humor in life, even when things aren't going our way. Here's a funny one on staying informed: if you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed; if you read the newspaper, you're misinformed. Laughs, it's a reminder to take everything with a grain of salt. Sometimes, it's hard to know what's true, but thinking critically helps us navigate all the noise. Alright, here's a feel-good one to end on: work like you don't need the money, dance like no one is watching, and love like you've never been hurt. Life is best lived when we give it our all, without holding back. So, be bold, be free, and let yourself experience life to the fullest. And finally, here's a reminder about growth: as soon as one is at rest in this world, he goes on to something else to worry about. Life never stands still, so let's not get too comfortable. Embrace the changes, the growth, and the challenges, they're all part of the adventure. To wrap up, here's one for all of us who learned to see our parents differently over time. When I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much the old man had learned in 7 years. Laughs, perspective changes everything. The more we grow, the more we realize just how much wisdom was right in front of us. 5. More life lessons and humor. Alright, let's dive into another round of wisdom, humor, and maybe a few life lessons that'll get you thinking. And if you're enjoying these thoughts as much as we are, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. And we'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below on your favorite quote or lesson so far. Here's a funny one to start with: a sin takes on new and real terrors when there seems a chance that it is going to be found out. Laughs, there's something about the idea of getting caught that makes us think twice. Maybe it's our conscience kicking in, or just a reminder that honesty is usually the best policy. Either way, it's a good reminder to keep things straightforward. And here's a beautiful reminder about inner guidance: a sound heart is a surer guide than an ill-trained conscience. Sometimes, our hearts know things that our minds don't. When we follow that quiet inner voice, we often find ourselves on the right path, even if logic says otherwise. Trust your heart, it usually knows where it's going. This one might make you pause: only 2 things we'll regret on our deathbed: that we are a little loved and a little traveled. When all is said and done, the things that matter are the love we've shared and the experiences we've had. So, if you're hesitating about reaching out or taking that trip, just go for it. Make memories that'll bring a smile even in the later chapters of life. Here's a lovely insight on life's little moments: there is no such thing as an ordinary life, memories which someday will become all beautiful when the last annoyance that encumbers them shall have faded out of our minds. Even the smallest moments hold beauty and meaning. So don't overlook them: one day, they'll be the memories you cherish most. Now here's a thought about conscience: conscience takes up more room than all the rest of a person's insides. Laughs, isn't that the truth? When our conscience speaks, it's hard to ignore. It nudges us, reminding us to stay true to our values and beliefs. That inner voice may be small, but it has a way of keeping us in check. And here's a humorous take on temptation: there are several good protections against temptations, but the surest is cowardice. Laughs, sometimes, not being bold enough to act on a temptation can save us from trouble. It's a funny way of saying that sometimes, it's okay to hold back instead of diving headfirst into something risky. This one's a reminder about choosing our battles: never argue with a fool, onlookers may not be able to tell the difference. Arguing with someone who isn't interested in understanding can make us look foolish too. Sometimes, the smartest thing we can do is just walk away. Not every argument needs our energy. Here's a witty one: name the greatest of all inventors: accident. Laughs, Many great things have been discovered by accident, whether it's inventions or solutions to life's puzzles. So if you're trying something new and it doesn't go as planned, remember that sometimes the best discoveries come from unexpected moments. And here's a humbling reminder: when people do not respect us, we are sharply offended, yet in his private heart, no man respects himself much. We often want others to hold us in high regard, but sometimes, we're our own toughest critics. The lesson here? Be kind to yourself. If you can learn to respect yourself, the opinions of others will matter less. Here's a funny one: a clear conscience is the sure sign of a bad memory. Laughs: sometimes, it's easier to let go of mistakes if we can't remember them. But the truth is, carrying a clear conscience means we're at peace with our actions. It's a light feeling, one that lets us move forward without regrets. Now here's one about growing older. When I was younger, I could not remember anything whether it had happened or not, but my faculties are decaying now, and soon I shall be so I cannot remember any but the things that never happened. Laughs: aging has a funny way of playing tricks on our memories. But with time, the good memories usually stand out the most, and that's what matters. And here's a deep insight on humor: the secret source of humor itself is not joy but sorrow. Laughter often comes from moments of pain, surprise, or challenge. It's what makes humor relatable. Finding a way to laugh in hard times can be incredibly healing, a reminder that even the toughest moments have a light side. This next one is a bit cheeky: a good lawyer knows the law, a clever one takes the judge to lunch. Laughs: it's not just about knowing the rules but sometimes knowing how to navigate around them. A little humor for all the problem solvers out there who understand that sometimes, relationships play a big role in success. Here's a lovely reminder about priorities: be careless in your dress if you must, but keep a tidy soul. Outward appearances only go so far. At the end of the day, it's our character that matters most. So, while looking good is great, having a good heart and soul is what really counts. And here's a truth about wealth and character: prosperity is the best protector of principle. It's easy to stand by our values when things are going well, but it's in the tough times that our true principles are tested. So, let's hold on to our values even when life isn't smooth. Here's a thought on human nature: there is a charm about the forbidden that makes it unspeakably desirable. We always seem to want what we can't have. It's just part of being human. But remember, sometimes, the things that are hardest to get aren't always what we really need. Now here's one for all of us who've faced setbacks: a man has no business to be depressed by a disappointment anyway, he ought to make up his mind to get even. Laughs: instead of getting down, channel that energy into pushing forward. Setbacks are part of the game, it's how we bounce back that really matters. This one hits home: there is no sadder sight than a young pessimist. Youth is meant for optimism, for hope, and for dreams. Let's keep that spark alive, no matter our age. The world needs more people who believe in a better tomorrow. And here's one that might resonate: you can't reason with your heart, it has its own laws and thumps about things which the intellect scorns. Love and emotion don't always make logical sense, but they're part of what makes life rich. Trust your heart even when it goes against reason sometimes. Lastly, here's a reminder about learning from experience: we should be careful to get out of an experience only the wisdom that is in it and stop there. Sometimes, we hold on to past mistakes or hardships too long. Learn the lesson and let the rest go. Wisdom grows when we focus on the present and don't carry unnecessary weight from the past. If you're enjoying these reflections, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know what resonates with you the most. Your support means the world to us, and we love having you here on this journey. 6. Wisdom, witty insights, and life's truths. Let's kick off this section with a thought on honesty and confidence. When in doubt, tell the truth, it will confound your enemies and astound your friends. Truth has a way of surprising people. It's straightforward, refreshing, and sometimes, it's the most unexpected response. So, when you're unsure, stick with the truth, it'll clear the air every time. Here's a beautiful insight about sharing ideas: our opinions do not really blossom into fruition until we have expressed them to someone else. Thoughts grow stronger when they're shared. Talking about our beliefs, our ideas, our dreams, it all helps solidify who we are. So, don't be afraid to share, it's how we grow and learn together. And here's a witty one about being selective with the truth. Truth is the most valuable thing we have. Let us economize it. Laughs, it's not about being dishonest but knowing when and how much to share. Sometimes, not every detail needs to be out in the open. Choose what's worth saying and let the rest be. Now here's a reflection on the nature of our minds. Life does not consist mainly or even largely of facts or happenings. It consists mainly of the storm of thoughts that is forever flowing through one's head. Our inner world is vast, sometimes even more than our outer experiences. Embrace those thoughts, they're part of what makes life so dynamic and rich. Here's a thought on honesty and self-reflection. A man is never more truthful than when he acknowledges himself a liar. Accepting our flaws is one of the hardest yet most freeing things we can do. Self-awareness is key, and sometimes, the hardest truth is the one we face in the mirror. And here's a funny one about creativity. The exquisitely bad is as satisfying to the soul as the exquisitely good, only the mediocre is unendurable. Laughs, sometimes, something that's so bad it's good has a certain charm. Passion and boldness, even if they don't hit the mark, can be more memorable than something bland. Go big or go home, right? Here's a cheeky one. No real gentleman will tell the naked truth in the presence of ladies. There's humor here, but it's also about respecting the boundaries of others. Not every truth needs to be shared bluntly, especially if kindness can go further. Balance honesty with grace. Here's a bit of humor mixed with practicality. Honesty is the best policy, when there is money in it. Laughs, let's be real, doing the right thing doesn't always feel profitable, but integrity pays off in ways that aren't always about money. So stay true to yourself, and eventually, life will reward you in the ways that count. This next one is a bit of a paradox. Some people lie when they tell the truth. People sometimes twist facts, adding a little exaggeration here or there. But the real power lies in sincerity, in saying things simply and truly. Authenticity always stands out in the end. And here's a gem on finding joy in work. The secret of success is making your vocation your vacation. The best jobs feel less like work and more like passion. If you can turn what you love into a career, it's like being on a permanent holiday. Chase what lights you up, and you'll never feel stuck. Here's a clever one about believability. I never could tell a lie that anyone would doubt, nor a truth that anyone would believe. Laughs, sometimes, truth can be stranger than fiction. But in the end, it's not about convincing others, it's about knowing you're staying true to yourself. And here's a classic thought on truth. A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting its shoes on. Isn't that the way it goes? Rumors spread quickly, while the truth takes its time. But once truth arrives, it stands stronger and longer than any lie. Here's a playful one. Be good and you will be lonesome. Laughs, sometimes, following all the rules can feel lonely. While it's good to do what's right, it's okay to bend a little and have some fun. Life is meant to be lived fully, just keep your intentions good along the way. This next one's about finding joy in work. Find a job you enjoy doing, and you will never have to work a day in your life. This quote holds a lot of truth. When you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work, it feels like passion, purpose, and flow. So if you're searching, keep going until you find what lights you up. Here's a reminder about the small joys. It is the little conveniences that make the real comfort of life. Big things are nice, but it's those small daily comforts that bring true peace. A warm bed, a good meal, a moment of quiet, all those little things add up to a lot of happiness. Now here's a beautiful thought on courage. To believe yourself brave is to be brave. Sometimes, confidence is all we need to take the first step. If you believe you can do something, you're already halfway there. So don't wait for external validation, believe in yourself. Here's a fun one. You cannot surprise an individual more than twice with the same marvel. We crave novelty. New experiences keep life exciting, so let's keep exploring, learning, and seeking out the wonders of the world. Once the novelty wears off, find something new to marvel at. And here's a thought about sharing joy. There are people who can do all fine and heroic things, but keep from telling their happiness to the unhappy. Laughs. We sometimes can't help but share our joy, even when others aren't in the same place. It's a reminder to be mindful and sensitive to others' feelings. Here's a wise reminder: additional problems are the offspring of poor solutions. Sometimes, quick fixes create more trouble. When solving a problem, take your time and get it right the first time. Thoughtful solutions prevent future headaches. And here's a beautiful truth: against the assault of laughter, nothing can stand. Laughter breaks down walls and diffuses tension. It's one of the most powerful tools we have, so let's use it often. Finding humor, even in tough moments, can change everything. This next one is all about precision. The difference between the almost right word and the right word is really a large matter. It's the difference between the lightning bug and the lightning. Words have power, and using the right ones can make all the difference. Choose them carefully, and they'll have the impact you want. And finally, here's a thought for all the dreamers: the man with a new idea is a crank until the idea succeeds. Innovation often feels strange at first. People might doubt or laugh, but if you believe in your idea, keep pushing. Success changes everything, and today's crank might just be tomorrow's genius. 7. Life's lessons, humor, and deep insights. Let's kick off this section with a bit of perspective on persistence. Take any type of woman, and you will find in it something to respect, something to admire, something to love. It's about finding the good in people. Everyone has qualities worth admiring, even if it takes some time to see them. Respect goes a long way in building meaningful connections. Here's a heartwarming one: a baby is an inestimable blessing and bother. Laughs. Anyone who's had kids can relate to this. Babies bring so much joy and a whole lot of sleepless nights, but it's all worth it. The best things in life often come with challenges, and sometimes, it's the hard work that makes the reward even sweeter. This next one is for the dreamers. Reality can be beaten with enough imagination. There's something powerful about creativity. When we allow our imaginations to run wild, even the toughest realities can feel lighter. So, dream big and let your mind wander. It's the first step to making the impossible possible. Here's a fun insight on happiness. Sanity and happiness are an impossible combination. Laughs. Sometimes, to be truly happy, we have to let go of the need to be completely rational. Life is unpredictable, and going with the flow can often bring more joy than overthinking every decision. Now here's one on censorship. Censorship is telling a man he can't have a steak just because a baby can't chew it. Limiting freedom for everyone just to protect a few doesn't make sense. It's a reminder to allow space for different perspectives, even if not everyone is ready to handle them. Freedom of thought and expression is essential. And here's a lovely truth: whoever is happy will make others happy too. Happiness is contagious. When we carry joy with us, it naturally spreads to those around us. If you want to make a difference, start by finding your own happiness, and watch how it lifts others. This one's a witty take on action. Thunder is good, thunder is impressive, but it is the lightning that does the work. Thunder might get attention, but it's lightning that gets things done. In life, talk is fine, but actions speak louder. Be the lightning, not the thunder. Take action, make an impact. Here's a funny but real insight about money. Unexpected money is a delight. The same sum is a bitterness when you expect more. Isn't it funny how expectations change our perception? A surprise bonus feels amazing, but if we were counting on even more, it suddenly feels lacking. Happiness often depends on how we frame things. Here's a powerful thought on character. The weakest of all weak things is a virtue which has not been tested in the fire. Virtues mean little if they're not tested. It's easy to say we believe in something, but it's through challenges that we prove it. Adversity builds true strength. Now here's an ironic truth. It seems to be the law of human constitution that those that deserve shall not have, and those that do not deserve shall get everything that is worth having. Laughs. Life doesn't always seem fair, but don't let it bring you down. Focus on what you can control, and keep moving forward. And here's one about principles. Laws control the lesser man, right conduct controls the greater one. True character isn't about following rules, it's about doing what's right, regardless of what's written. Integrity is what you do when no one's watching, when there's no rule to guide you but your own values. Here's a thought on the uniqueness of our journeys: we can't reach old age by another man's road. Everyone's path is different. No two journeys are the same, and that's what makes life interesting. Embrace your own experiences, and don't try to follow someone else's roadmap. This next one's about habits. My habits protect my life, but they would assassinate you. Laughs. We all have our quirks, and what works for one person might not work for another. Embrace your own routines, but remember that everyone has their own ways of doing things, and that's okay. And here's a bit of practical wisdom: there are 2 times in a man's life when he should not speculate, when he can't afford it and when he can. Laughs. Sometimes, taking risks isn't worth it, especially if we don't have the means. And even when we do, caution is still wise. Not every gamble pays off. Here's a warm reminder about happiness: grief can take care of itself, but to get full value of a joy, you must have somebody to divide it with. Joy shared is joy multiplied. Happiness is richer when it's shared, whether with friends, family, or loved ones. Don't keep the good times to yourself, invite others to share in your joy. And here's a humble truth: it is better to deserve honors and not have them than to have them and not deserve them. Recognition feels best when it's truly earned. Being deserving, even without applause, brings a sense of pride and fulfillment that can't be taken away. Here's one to make you think: a truth is not hard to kill, and a lie told well is immortal. Lies often have a way of spreading quickly, but truth stands the test of time. It might take longer to be heard, but truth eventually finds its place. Now here's a light-hearted take on passion: a patriot is the person who can holler the loudest without knowing what he is hollering about. Laughs. Sometimes, passion speaks before understanding, and people jump to conclusions. True passion comes from a place of knowledge, not just noise. This one's about lifelong learning. I have never let my schooling interfere with my education. Learning happens everywhere, not just in school. Some of the best lessons come from life itself, so keep exploring, questioning, and discovering. Here's a humbling truth: thousands of geniuses live and die undiscovered, either by themselves or by others. There's so much untapped potential out there. Maybe you're a hidden genius, too, so keep pushing, keep exploring, and don't let anything hold you back. Here's a cheeky one: how hard is it that we have to die? A strange complaint coming from the mouths of people who have had to live. Life is full of challenges, but those hardships make it all worthwhile. Embrace every moment, the good and the bad, because that's what life is all about. Here's a reminder on self-worth: we are always more anxious to be distinguished for a talent which we do not possess than to be praised for the 15 which we do possess. Sometimes, we're so focused on what we lack that we overlook our own strengths. Appreciate what you bring to the table, it's more than enough. And here's a final note for this section: continued improvement is better than delayed perfection. Perfection isn't always achievable, but progress is. Keep moving forward, making small improvements, and remember that growth is the real goal. 8. Life, wisdom, and humor. Let's dive right back into it with a powerful reflection on perspective. Nothing that grieves us can be called little. By the eternal laws of proportion, a child's loss of a doll and a king's loss of a crown are events of the same size. Grief and loss are relative. What may seem small to one person might be monumental to another, and everyone's pain deserves respect. It's a reminder to treat others' feelings with care, even if we don't fully understand them. Here's an important truth: never tell the truth to people who are not worthy of it. Honesty is valuable, and not everyone is ready to hear it. Sometimes, protecting your truth is as important as sharing it. Choose carefully who you trust with your words, and let those who deserve it know the real you. Now here's one that speaks to the heart: the full belly is little worth where the mind is starved. Material comfort is nice, but it's mental and emotional fulfillment that brings real peace. Feeding the mind with knowledge, love, and connection is what fills us up in the long run. So while we take care of our bodies, let's not forget to nourish our minds. This one's a fun perspective on getting to know people: I have found out that there ain't no surer way to find out whether you like people or hate them than to travel with them. Laughs. Traveling together brings out both the best and the worst in people. If you can make it through a trip with someone and still enjoy their company, you know you've got a solid friend. Here's a timely reminder: the nation is divided, half patriots and half traitors, and no man can tell which from which. Perspectives vary so widely that sometimes it's hard to tell who stands where. Instead of judging, let's focus on finding common ground. Unity is often found in understanding, not in choosing sides. Here's a thoughtful one on age and wisdom. An old person should never share 3 things about himself: his illnesses, for the world has its own; his troubles, for they are often trivial to others; and his wealth, for envy is a sharper blade than a pauper's knife. Not everything needs to be shared with everyone. Sometimes, keeping certain things private helps us maintain our peace and keeps envy at bay. And here's a classic one on growth: necessity is the mother of taking chances. Often, it's when we're backed into a corner that we find the courage to take big risks. If things feel tough right now, remember that challenges have a way of bringing out strengths we didn't know we had. This one hits home: human pride is not worthwhile, there's always something lying in wait to take the wind out of it. Life has a way of humbling us. The moment we feel too proud, something reminds us of our limits. Humility is a strength. It keeps us grounded, open, and connected to others. Here's a positive reminder about lifting others up: the best way to cheer yourself up is to try to cheer somebody else up. Helping others can often lighten our own hearts, too. When we focus on spreading kindness, we often find our own spirits lifted. So next time you're feeling down, do something small for someone else. This one's a humorous take on humility. Good breeding consists in concealing how much we think of ourselves and how little we think of the other person. Laughs. It's a reminder not to take ourselves too seriously. True class isn't about showing off, it's about making others feel important and valued. And here's one about friendship: a wise man silently cuts off 3 types of people: those who borrow and never return, those who promise and never deliver, and those who listen but never hear. Life is too short to spend on one-sided relationships. Choose friends who respect your time and energy, who show up when they say they will, and who truly listen. This next one is about living meaningfully. To be busy is man's only happiness. Purpose and activity keep us engaged in life. Sometimes, when we feel down, it's because we're not actively pursuing something that excites or fulfills us. Find something that lights you up and make time for it. Here's a reminder about the essentials: good friends, good books, and a sleepy conscience. This is the ideal life. Happiness doesn't need to be complicated. Good company, a little escape through reading, and a clear conscience are the real treasures. Let's cherish the simple pleasures, they're often the best ones. Here's one that speaks to our tendency to worry: I am an old man and have known a great many troubles, but most of them never happened. Laughs. We spend so much time worrying about things that may never come to pass. Instead of imagining the worst, focus on what's happening here and now. It'll save a lot of stress. And here's a truth about fear: a sin takes on new and real terrors when there seems a chance that it is going to be found out. Sometimes, the fear of discovery is scarier than the act itself. But honesty brings peace, so let's live in a way that keeps us out of hiding. Here's a reminder to trust your heart: a sound heart is a surer guide than an ill-trained conscience. Sometimes, we know what's right instinctively, even when our minds get confused. If you're ever torn, follow your heart, it often knows the way better than your head. This one's about authenticity: any emotion, if it is sincere, is involuntary. Real emotions aren't forced, they come from deep within. Trust those feelings, they're often the truest reflection of who we are. Don't shy away from being genuine. Here's a humorous look at remembering the past: it is human to exaggerate the merits of the dead. Sometimes, we look back with rose-colored glasses, forgetting the flaws. It's natural, but it's also a reminder to appreciate people while they're here, with all their quirks and imperfections. Here's a little insight on aging: we have permanent habits until we are 40, then they begin to harden, and presently they petrify. Habits shape us, and as we grow older, they get harder to break. It's a reminder to build good habits now, before they set in stone. Here's a truth about learning from experience: we should be careful to get out of an experience only the wisdom that is in it and stop there. Don't carry past mistakes as burdens, just take the lessons and move on. Growth happens when we let go of the weight but keep the wisdom. And here's one for the bold: when in doubt, tell the truth, it will confound your enemies and astound your friends. Truth has a way of surprising people, and sometimes, it's the bravest thing we can do. Honesty clears the path, making room for genuine connections. Finally, here's a note about sharing ideas: our opinions do not really blossom into fruition until we have expressed them to someone else. Talking through our thoughts, sharing what we believe, that's how we refine our perspectives. So, don't keep your wisdom to yourself. Share it and watch it grow. 9. More wisdom, humor, and life insights. Let's start this section with a bit of humility. The human race has only one really effective weapon, and that is laughter. There's no problem too big for a good laugh. It's what brings us together and lightens our hearts, even in the toughest times. When all else fails, let laughter lead the way. This one is for all the news watchers out there: if you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed; if you read the newspaper, you're misinformed. Laughs, it's a reminder to take everything with a grain of salt. Not everything we hear or read is the full story. Think critically, stay open-minded, and always look a little deeper. Here's a favorite reminder about living freely: work like you don't need the money, dance like no one is watching, and love like you've never been hurt. Life's better when we're genuine, when we put our whole hearts into everything we do. Don't hold back, go all in, and live each day like it's your last. Here's a funny yet comforting one: as soon as one is at rest in this world, he goes on to something else to worry about. Laughs, it seems like the worries never really stop, do they? But maybe that's just part of life, learning to accept that new challenges will always come up, and finding peace in facing them one step at a time. This next one is perfect for those of us who've had a shift in perspective over the years. When I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much the old man had learned in 7 years. Laughs, it's amazing how our view of things, and people, can change as we grow up. Sometimes, it's us who do the learning, not them. Here's a thought on truth and courage: a sin takes on new and real terrors when there seems a chance that it is going to be found out. Honesty is often less scary than the fear of getting caught in a lie. The peace that comes from living openly and truthfully is worth far more than the temporary comfort of a hidden truth. Now here's one for all the deep thinkers: a sound heart is a surer guide than an ill-trained conscience. Sometimes, our hearts know what's right before our minds do. If you're ever unsure, trust that quiet feeling inside, it's usually leading you in the right direction. Here's a poetic thought: only 2 things we'll regret on the deathbed: that we are a little loved and little traveled. When we look back, it's often love and experience that we wish we had more of. So if you're hesitating on reaching out to someone or exploring a new place, take the leap. Those are the things that fill life with meaning. Here's a clever one about honesty: when in doubt, tell the truth, it will confound your enemies and astound your friends. The truth can be surprising, refreshing, and sometimes even a bit shocking. If you're ever on the fence about what to say, go with honesty. It's often the best choice and the most unexpected. This next one is about finding clarity: our opinions do not really blossom into fruition until we have expressed them to someone else. Talking things out helps us find our voice and gain perspective. Don't keep your ideas hidden, share them, and watch how they grow and evolve. Here's a humorous truth: good breeding consists in concealing how much we think of ourselves and how little we think of the other person. Laughs, true grace isn't about flaunting what we have, it's about lifting others up and making them feel valued. Humility goes a long way, and it's often the mark of a genuinely good person. And here's one about learning from the past: we should be careful to get out of an experience only the wisdom that is in it, and stop there. Carry the lessons forward, but don't let the baggage weigh you down. Growth happens when we learn, let go, and move on. Here's a timeless one for the brave-hearted: when in doubt, tell the truth. It sounds simple, but it's sometimes the hardest thing to do. Truth clears the air, builds trust, and opens the door for authentic relationships. So don't be afraid to speak from the heart. Here's a funny insight: it is human to exaggerate the merits of the dead. We tend to look back on people with rose-colored glasses. It's natural, but it's also a reminder to appreciate people now, flaws and all. Celebrate those around you today for who they are. And here's a bit of wisdom on aging: we have permanent habits until we are 40, then they begin to harden, and presently they petrify. Laughs, habits shape who we are, and the older we get, the harder they are to break. So if you want to build good habits, start now before they're set in stone. This one is about resilience: get the wisdom from an experience, and leave the rest behind. It's easy to carry the weight of past mistakes, but what we need is the lesson, not the baggage. Take the wisdom forward, and let everything else go. Here's an inspiring one for those struggling with honesty: when in doubt, tell the truth. Sometimes, it takes real courage to be open, but truth has a way of freeing us. In relationships, friendships, and even with ourselves, honesty clears the path for understanding. And here's a funny one for anyone who's felt the pang of regret: nothing grieves us more than what we did not do rather than what we did. Sometimes, it's the missed opportunities that stick with us. So live boldly, and try not to hold back. It's better to look back on a life lived fully than one held back by fear. Here's a wise perspective on perception: a man is never more truthful than when he acknowledges himself a liar. Self-awareness is powerful. Admitting our flaws and being real with ourselves is the first step toward growth. The more truthful we are with ourselves, the better our lives become. Here's a final thought on happiness: life does not consist mainly or even largely of facts or happenings. It consists mainly of the storm of thoughts that is forever flowing through one's head. Life is shaped by our inner world. The thoughts we nurture and the dreams we follow are what bring color to our days. Embrace that inner storm: it's what makes life beautiful. 10. Final thoughts on life, humor, and wisdom. As we wrap up this journey through life's truths and humor, let's start this final part with a reminder to embrace growth. Nothing that grieves us can be called little. By the eternal laws of proportion, a child's loss of a doll and a king's loss of a crown are events of the same size. Our pain, no matter how small or large, deserves compassion. Every struggle teaches us something, so let's give ourselves and each other a little grace along the way. Here's a beautiful one on truth: our opinions do not really blossom into fruition until we have expressed them to someone else. Sharing ideas with others sharpens our own perspectives. When we open up, we gain insight and build stronger connections. Don't be afraid to share your thoughts: you never know who might need to hear them. Here's a playful reminder: good breeding consists in concealing how much we think of ourselves and how little we think of the other person. Laughs, there's a lot of wisdom here about humility. True kindness means lifting others up, not boasting about ourselves. Sometimes, the less we say about our own achievements, the more others admire us. This next one's a classic: when I was younger, I could remember anything, whether it happened or not, but my faculties are decaying now, and soon I shall only remember the things that never happened. Laughs, growing older has its quirks, and memory is one of them. But even when memories get jumbled, it's the joy of those moments that sticks with us. Here's a meaningful one on self-worth: we can secure other people's approval if we do it right and try hard, but our own is worth 100 of it. No amount of external validation compares to the peace that comes from liking who you are. So let's focus on finding happiness within ourselves. That's the approval that matters most. This one is a timeless truth: the human race has only one really effective weapon, and that is laughter. Laughter is universal: it breaks barriers, heals wounds, and brings us closer together. When things feel heavy, remember to laugh. It's one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to lighten up. Here's a thought on staying informed: if you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed; if you read the newspaper, you're misinformed. Laughs, in today's world, it can be hard to know what's true. Stay curious, but remember that not everything you hear is the full story. Think critically and form your own perspective. This next one is all about living fully, to be busy is man's only happiness. Having a purpose, something to wake up for, gives life meaning. Whether it's work, family, or passion projects, staying engaged keeps our spirits alive. Don't be afraid to throw yourself into what you love. Here's a beautiful reflection on life's impact. Let us live so that when we come to die, even the undertaker will be sorry. The best legacy we can leave is kindness, love, and joy in the lives of others. Live in a way that makes people remember you fondly. It's the most lasting way to leave your mark. This one's a bit of tough love. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did do. Regret often stems from inaction, not failure. So take the leap, chase those dreams, and embrace the unknown. Life is for the bold. Here's a funny take on arguments. Never argue with a fool. Onlookers may not be able to tell the difference. Sometimes, the smartest thing we can do is walk away. Not every battle is worth our energy, especially when it's clear the other person isn't interested in listening. Choose peace over winning. Here's a reminder on independence. Don't go around saying the world owes you a living. The world owes you nothing, it was here first. Life doesn't come with guarantees. Success and happiness are up to us, not handed to us. Embrace personal responsibility and make things happen. Here's one on loyalty that hits deep. The trouble is not in dying for a friend, but in finding a friend worth dying for. True friendship is rare and valuable. When you find those people who would stand by you through anything, hold them close. They're worth more than gold. Here's a final reminder to go all in. Life is short. Break the rules, forgive quickly, kiss slowly, love truly, laugh uncontrollably, and never regret anything that makes you smile. Time moves fast, so let's not waste it on regrets. Embrace the moments that bring joy, and don't hold back on the things that make life worth living. This next one is powerful. The worst loneliness is not to be comfortable with yourself. Being at peace with who you are is the key to happiness. When you love yourself, you're never truly alone. So focus on building a relationship with yourself first. That's where true comfort lies. And here's one for all of us as we age. Do not complain about growing old. It is a privilege denied to many. Each year, each wrinkle, each memory is a gift. Aging is a sign that we're still here, still experiencing life, and that's something to be grateful for. Here's a final thought on kindness. Kindness is a language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. Acts of compassion speak louder than words and can be felt by everyone, regardless of background. Let's make kindness our language. It's something everyone understands. And finally, here's one to keep us hopeful. It's better to be an optimist who is sometimes wrong than a pessimist who is almost always right. Positivity isn't about ignoring reality, it's about choosing to believe in the good, even when things are hard. Stay hopeful, stay optimistic, life is brighter that way. And with that, we've reached the end of our journey through some timeless wisdom, humor, and life lessons. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on future content. We'd love to hear which quote resonated with you the most, so drop a comment below. Thank you for being here with us, and remember to keep living with purpose, laughter, and kindness. Until next time, take care and keep shining.